Welcome
Welcome
to
to
Shade and the
Shade in the
City.
City.
I'm your girl, Treese.
It's Nels.
And today, y'all, we're jumping into our review of Love and Marriage Huntsville, Season 6, Episode 6, Being Lay Tea Like. I have my tea ready. So, if you guys haven't already, please make sure that you've hit the like button.
And the subscribe button.
Y'all, let's get into it and let's get shady. Going over to visit Tiffany to check on her after the spa party. They discuss how things went crazy and how it was supposed to be a relaxing thing and then just turned into not that. But okay. So yeah, they're discussing how it was everything but relaxing. And Tiffany even says, my blood pressure I felt was even a little high. Because she was basically trying to meet Keke where she was on her level.
The
Now,
nerve.
the nerve.
When she said that, I was like, you was trying to meet Keke where she was. You came in there with the drama.
Well, oh, okay.
She
Mel,
did. She came in there feeling some type of way. Keke didn't. She wasn't thinking she was not thinking about Tiffany.
all right. Now, Mel invites her to the tea, and Tiffany seems like she thinks it'll be a good idea and brings up how she noticed Mel and Tisha were in a better place. And Mel confirms that and says that, she even invited her and her daughter to the girls' birthday party, which we saw last week. Mel shares how Martell showed up uninvited.
Uninvited.
And how he made a big fuss about not being able to be there, only for her to call him afterwards, as she promised, only for him to tell his daughter that he'll pick her up on Monday. Now, if Petty was a person, its name is Martell. So Mel says she wishes she would have had her children with a man and not a queen. I said, well, damn.
And I said, Mel.
And she's hopeful that she's able to learn something from this tea as well on how to communicate with a narcissistic a-hole like Martell. So, my thoughts on that is that yeah, Martell is martelling. And
look, she said, I'm gonna get it recorded now. Y'all want to play games?
Right. And no, I applaud her for it because I feel like a lot of people, Tiffany included, and a lot of the viewers often think that, oh, well, Mel's just being a hard ass or she's being difficult and she's not co-parenting well. And it's like, I'm co-parenting with the person who's not good at co-parenting either. So we're both in the same boat. I'm not saying everything Mel does is right, but for him to make the fuss that he did and then turn around and tell his daughters, no, I'll see you on Monday, that if anything, that was more hurtful to the kids than it was him hurting Mel. You know what I mean?
Over at the Scotts, Kimmy and Maurice's house, they're discussing the problems that they're having with Monster. Apparently, he is hard-headed as hell.
He's being a monster.
Yeah, he's being a monster. And
that's why they say be careful what you say to your kids, what you call them.
Mm-hmm. And Kimmy basically, she's asking for some backup from Maurice. And Maurice is basically like, oh, how you let him get away? And she's like, sir, you do the same thing. Like he's this way to the both of us. It's not like he listens to you and doesn't listen to me. Okay. I just need some backup.
Well, I think what Kimmy was saying was that I guess because he feels like, oh, it's Kimmy, like she can't really do anything as the bonus mom. So the repercussions would be different versus if his mom or Maurice.
That's exactly what Kimmy was saying. But Maurice was basically saying, oh, you let him like do whatever.
Yeah, basically like you're letting him get away.
And she's like, sir, I don't have the same power that you do. Okay, but you let him do
it. And she admits that Monster knows that. Monster knows that.
So he decides that this is a Kiowa and Kimmy problem and decides to call Kiowa. And she's like, it's really
I don't like that he did that.
She's like, it's a you problem. I'm asking you for backup. And Kiowa actually takes Kimmy's side. She's basically, I understand where she's coming from. You know what I mean? And I can appreciate the fact that she's considering me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And concerned about how I feel about how she disciplines my child. But I'm cool and comfortable with her disciplining him in any way that I would. And by the end of the call, you know, it was just 2-1. Maurice didn't understand what the hell just happened. He was voted off the island, basically.
So now Stormy and Keke get together for a Reiki session, which is very much up my alley. Now, the instructor explains that she's a child of God and her work is to transfer energy. Keke wants her to clarify how Reiki ties in with being a child of God and how she was told that you weren't supposed to be mixing with chakras and crystals. And I love when the instructor lets her know that that probably came from someone who has not read their Bible thoroughly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So she lets them know they will feel electric currents coming from their body, which I thought was really dope. Again, really like the Reiki. And she tells Keke she's overthinking and tells Stormy that she has a pure heart. Stormy gets emotional and she tells her it's okay to release. And, you know, that's the way to clear, you know, release the pain and clear the way for better, more positive things to come. So she tells Keke her words are powerful and that she can speak things into existence. Keke then explains how she tries to use her words to inspire others. Okay, girl. Now, Stormy and Keke have a moment, and Keke explains that she thinks they're more similar than they are different. I give you that. And they both agree that, you know, there are a lot of misconceptions about both of them. And Keke doesn't know, you know, basically if she can let go of this Tiffany situation. And Stormy tells her, you basically, yes, you can because she's
So
pregnant.
she's pregnant.
And Keke doesn't give a damn. And basically says, like, if you're going to come pregnant with this energy and talk junk, you can get it too. So
Listen,
Stormy
I
said,
couldn't be mad at her.
right. And then Stormy basically tells her that she hopes Tiffany baby don't come out looking like Keke.
I know. I was like, hold up. I was like, Stormy. Now I know how it could have come across to Keke, like, oh, you know, you got a problem with me. You don't want your baby to look like me, but it's not what it was giving.
Mm.
And you know, basically, Keke said it would be amazing if the baby came out looking like her. So Martell, then he goes to see Maurice's space. I apparently he's like opening a law firm or whatever. He has a space for a law firm. And you know, he tells him, you know, he's just checking in. Maurice is checking in on Martell. He's like, you know, how are you doing? He said he's doing good mentally, financially, credit wise. Some way he still can't pass his damn test. I don't know. But Martell told him about the skate party incident and you know how Mel threatened to call the cops, and you know Maurice is just confused. He's floored. He's like, what type of drama is this? Like, I don't deal with none of this. He's like, you know, I'm gonna just keep you in my prayers, sir. So Maurice basically tells him to handle everything within your control and let God handle the rest.
Mm.
Now, Maurice also mentioned that Kimmy is doing a lot better. Monster, not so much. And he says that he is a little bit envious of Monster and the way he grew up, because imagine where he would be if he grew up like that. And Martell actually tells him probably in the same place or worse, because that's what happened to spoiled kids. They end up, you know, on some BS. And Maurice compares his son's situation to a dog named Peaches that he had, who didn't heed his advice and got ran over by a car, and he doesn't want his son to get ran over by the world.
That's some real. I felt what he was saying. I mean, it was a weird analogy, but I get
It
what he
was
was saying.
I got what he was saying too, but it was there. It was weird. Martell, who really shouldn't be giving no damn advice, tells him that sports helps him gain structure. What structure do you have? You can't even control your hormones, sir.
Woo. Well, shots were fired. Now, Mel arrives to meet the etiquette coach, Carol. She hopes that all the ladies are able to make peace with each other and learn to act like ladies together. So everyone seems to arrive in good spirits. Stormy arrives last with her mom in tow. She says she invited her.
Uninvited.
Uninvited.
And we know Mel don't like that.
Well, she did say they could bring a +1.
Did
That
she?
was
Because
yeah,
the table wasn't set for +1s.
because even Tiffany said, "Oh, if they're bringing a +1, that must mean they're
You're
bringing."
right. You're right. So okay, so nobody really nobody really brought her +1, but Stormy did.
No, like I think the young lady sitting next to
It was a lady I didn't recognize.
um what's the girl's name? Fletcher, the
Nail.
Nail. I think that was her daughter, maybe, possibly. Might have
Mm,
been her daughter. But like there were people who brought +1s, but
mm.
not as backup. Stormy was the only one that actually brought a +1 that was backup.
So guess what? Tiffany was right. When
Mm-hmm.
you say +1, that means you bring it back up.
Right. And so, Stormy says that she invited her because she knows she has some issues with Mel, and she hopes that seeing their dynamic will help, basically soften her up towards Mel. No, you didn't. You know your mama don't like her. Don't like nothing about her. You couldn't have thought for a second that bringing her to this tea was going to be some big resolution. Just my opinion. So they start to learn about how to properly drink their tea. And then she begins to discuss etiquette and the words they use and how it makes people feel. I'm not going to lie. It was a little ignorant, but it was funny to me because Stormy talks about how she likes to cuss.
I felt Stormy. I
Because
felt him.
she just likes to, even though Carol explains that cursing shows a lack of vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
So Nell wants to get into the goods.
Well,
And
I like the fact that Stormy said, no, I just like them.
yeah,
She
she
said,
said, I just like them. She said, if I see a shirt and I like it, that's my shirt.
you're
I
right.
like that shirt.
I feel you, Stormy. It
So
just, it just adds some passion. Just add some meaning to it.
you're
You
funny.
know what I mean?
So I did think it was interesting that Nell got herself in the middle of this, especially because she's not like she knows everybody, but just to drop herself in the middle
No,
of
okay. So, okay. I'm glad you said that because I didn't feel that way. I know Stormy's mom felt that way. I didn't feel like she was getting in the middle of anything. I think that she felt the tension in the room and she's like, what's going on? Because I
it.
can feel it.
Okay.
I didn't feel like she was trying to get in the middle of anything, but she wanted the tension to be cleared. She's like, we supposed to be here having a good time at high tea, and there is this tension. And she
Okay.
thought it was from Mel and Stormy.
But it was coming from Stormy's mama.
Yeah, and then her mom was like, well, basically like you don't need to be in the middle of our shit. But what nobody trying to be in the middle. Okay.
Right.
I
And
just wanted
I think that Nell was still very, very respectful to
she
Miss.
was more respectful than I would have been.
Mm. So basically, yeah, Nail points out the energy is off, and Miss Betty says that they can talk about it, but Nail has nothing to do with it, and she should be quiet. And Stormy backs her on that. So Carol points out that Stormy cut Nail off, although she allowed Stormy to speak. And Stormy says, "Well, she just wanted to get her thought out before she forgot." I'm not gonna lie,
And she let her know it was still
when
disrespectful.
Stormy said I wanted to get it out before I forgot, I was like, I do it all. I feel bad. I recognize it and I'm trying to correct it, but I still do it. It's a work in progress. I can admit, and I know it's rude, but when you're trying to get that thought out, I get it. I get it. So I definitely identify with Stormy on that. But then Mel brings up how she complimented Stormy at the reunion and said she's really kind of what Love and Marriage Huntsville started upon and what it's supposed to be is supporting and seeing Black people and their businesses thrive and their families. And so she's unaware of why she thinks that there's an issue. However, she says she's unclear of Miss Betty's issue with her. So Miss Betty lets her know that she's upset Mel didn't shut down the rumors when people thought it was Stormy who secretly recorded her. And Mel simply explains, well, people say a lot of things, but does apologize if Miss Betty felt that her tweet was directed at Stormy. And Miss Betty tells her to shut up. Okay. And tells her she doesn't like the way she does things. And her real
I
issue
didn't like the way she did this.
And her real issue with her is she's mad that she didn't just shut it down completely. And Stormy is just sitting there quietly. Yep, my mama got me.
Because really, if you spoke on it, why couldn't you just be direct? Like As Betty said, be direct, and said it wasn't Stormy.
Right. And so Mel apologizes again, but I will say
She apologized for her feeling disrespected by the tweet, not for not addressing it, and she still didn't address it at the tea.
I'm gonna give you that. I think the only thing that I didn't like is if Stormy is feeling away, because what it's giving, it's if she would have tweeted something at Miss Betty directly, you get what I'm saying? But right now, it is giving Miss Wanda because you're now beefing on behalf of your daughter, and while your daughter sits here quietly and ain't got nothing to say, and I just feel like we know Stormy is very vocal. So if you really feel that strongly and felt like Mel should have cleared your name, you need to say that, not your mama.
Well, for one, I feel like it shouldn't have even needed to be said, to be honest with you.
Okay.
If you see everybody going at Stormy, this is supposed to be your friend or whatever you want to consider her, because clearly you're not her real friend or whatever. But if you see somebody going at somebody that does not deserve it, and you know that they don't deserve it, instead of saying the person that was in my house did not record me, how hard is it to say Stormy did not record me? And you see the people going at her. So I understand what you're saying as far as Stormy not speaking up for herself. But keep in mind, Stormy hasn't talked to this girl for months. She probably don't know where their relationship is or doesn't want to rock the boat any more than it is. And her mama don't give a damn and wants to stand up and, for her daughter.
I hear you. I hear you. I noticed the similarity and I was like, well, people can't stand Miss Wanda because she beefs on Tisha's behalf. And so that's the whole reason why she don't like, you know what I mean? So
But so she also, Miss Wanda also has her own beefs with people. I think that's also part of the problem. Miss Wanda creates her own beefs with these people. Miss Betty does not have her own beef. Her beef is, you made my daughter look like a fucking liar, and you won't defend her. And y'all supposed to be cool. Why do I even have to have this conversation? Why does anybody have to have this conversation with you? Right is right and wrong is wrong. If you know it didn't happen, why can't you just clear her name?
Well, I'm not even gonna combat you on that because that's a very good point.
Well, then Keke jumped in because, she says she's been waiting to confront Tiffany and her lies. Tiffany said all she said was she likes to protect her peace and doesn't create mess. And if Keke is willing to throw her under the bus, throw her own cousin under the bus, then she would do it to her. Which I completely understand. And she said, because, she really don't know her like that. And Keke said, and she knows of her. And Keke said, let me educate you.
You know what? I noticed it was the same argument, two different shows. Same argument, two different shows. Because what we arguing about, who know who and how well, and I don't really know you.
Who gives a damn?
Damn, right.
Boy, you get the check.
Right.
That's what you need to be concerned about, okay?
Right.
The hell? Now, Keke said, let me educate you on what knowing of someone means, because you clearly need it, you poor, pitiful soul. I said, I had to make sure I put that in the notes.
There wasn't no etiquette in that.
You poor, pitiful soul. I said, look, and then all the other stuff she said, I was like, okay, they called her and said, did they catch that? I know she said it under her breath a little bit, but damn. Now she said that someone you've never, basically like it's someone that you've never met, and they've had many exchanges and known each other for years. Tiffany says the issue for her is she was introduced to the group at like through friends instead of as Tisha's cousin. She's always known her as Mel's friend, and she should have came in as Tisha's cousin. Now I don't really listen. Clearly they wasn't even that cool. So and she basically just says, she really still don't know her. And Keke's like, are you kidding me? I went on a whole crusade to find your father. And Tiffany is like, well, did you follow up? And boo, it was not a crusade. Basically, what happened was Mel was following up with me after our trip, and you were there.
Right.
And then Keke tried to make it seem like, well, I had connects and I was trying to hook you up with the connects and da 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 da. And she's like, and let's be clear, I knew who my daddy was.
Now that was below the belt. That was actually vicious.
What got me is
And
the
then
fact that,
and then tried to play it off like that's not how it meant it.
right? Everybody in the room is telling you that was below the belt. That was unnecessary. No, that's not how I meant it. Girl, stop it. Anybody ask you about your daddy
If
and
Tiffany
whether
was
you,
not pregnant and that was me, well, from one Pisces to another, and I know she's not that person, Keke would have had to get her ass whooped for that.
most people would have, pregnant or not.
Right.
Ain't nobody asked how was it not a dig? Nobody asked you about your daddy. Nobody asked you if you knew your daddy, and you decided to throw that in there.
And I love how everybody at the table made it
It's
clear
like, yeah, boo,
that yes, no, that was a dig. You don't try to cover that up, put frosting on it, and make
yeah,
it
they
seem
definitely
like,
took up
oh,
for
it wasn't
Tiffany.
that.
They definitely took up for her. Now, Miss Carol told her to take a breath and chill out. She says, you're beautiful. And that's the aura and energy you want to reflect. Because that's not what it's given right now. Okay. And explain to her how she should have come at Tiffany. And told her basically she was doing too much. Okay. You was throwing little low blows, and that's not ladylike. So finally, she did apologize to Tiffany and says, that's not how she meant it. And Mel basically, to me, it seemed like she cut everything short, and gave out gifts because she's like, this is not what we came here for. My thing is with Mel is you want all this peace, but you keep on getting the same group of women together expecting things to be different. Isn't that insanity?
Mm.
You're doing the same thing expecting a different result.
Well, you got a point there. It is insane, but unfortunately, they got to get this check. So, and clearly, it's an insane check because they
But
keep.
then guess what? Then no, act like you entering the drama. Act like you're entering the circus. Don't come in there like, I just want peace, and that's not what it's gonna be.
That's true. Well, I mean, I think she's ready to turn over a new leaf because she realizes. I think we had that one season where we barely even saw her, so I think that she's realized that in order to stay on the show, she can't just not film with anybody. So I think,
well, guess what? Clearly, your peace ain't that important because you want that check.
right,
You want that chicken.
right.
Okay?
You want that chicken? You stupid. Look, nowadays, shit, you want them eggs as expensive as they are.
They don't went down, girl. The eggs, you ain't bought eggs in a
Be
minute.
able
I
to
can.
afford them $12 carton of eggs.
I can tell you ain't bought eggs in a minute. They went down. The price went down.
Last time I looked, they were like $12 a carton. Hell no.
That was a long time ago.
But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to our review of
Yes,
Love
thank
Marriage
you.
Huntsville. If you have not already, please make sure that you hit the like button,
You comment,
you subscribe,
and you hit the notification bell.
and please forgive us for our little technical difficulties because I know it was like jumping and stuff in the middle, but we got you the review. Hopefully you got the meat and potatoes of the episode. And yeah, y'all, make sure you're following us on Facebook, the IG, the Instagram, and the Twitter. And we will catch you next week after our little break for another review, what it'll be episode 7 of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Have a good night.
Good night.